Hello and welcome back. This is Sherry with Heart and Soulful in the studio today, and I'm continuing to work on my stacked envelope junk journal as part of my recycled book page challenge. So if you've been following along, welcome back, and if you're joining me for the very first time, welcome. Thanks for finding me. I'm going to put a link to this entire series in the description because we're kind of a little ways in now. And I keep making references to previous videos that won't make sense unless you've watched them. So I would start back at the beginning if you haven't already and get caught up to where I am, and I think it'll make a lot more sense. So before I get started on the tutorial for today, I want to mention a couple things from the last video. I went to Michael's yesterday, and I have been using gesso, as you know, for my book page to make them into writing paper. And that's been working out fine to get them to, where you still see the words through in case you want to reference that it's still a book, but be able to write on it. I've been doing 2 coats of this. If I want it to be more solid and barely see any book text through there, then I go up to 4 coats even. So I was running out of this and went to Michael's yesterday and they didn't have any. So everywhere for me is far, and I just didn't want to come home with nothing. So they had this, this one is the value series, so it's the inexpensive one, which works fine. But they only had this acrylic medium in gesso white matte, and it works great. I really like it. So I'm glad I splurged on it because I don't know that I would have tried it if they had the cheaper one. And this one really goes on probably twice as thick as the other one. So even though it might be more expensive, I think in the end it's probably a wash. So I really like it. It also not only covered better, but I think it's a little bit smoother. And so to write on and all that, I think I'm going to like it better. You could just tell the quality of it's better. So that was one thing I wanted to point out. The other thing is pens. I had let my 01 little Pigma Micron that I like to start my doodling and things with, my stencil tracing and that kind of thing with this pen, and I had let it dry. They had them at Walmart, as I mentioned. They also have them at Michael's, so you can find them there. And then they also had these Signo that I love too, these gel pens. They also had these in a set of 3 at Walmart, as I mentioned, but you can buy them individually at Michael's. All of these are in the art section where you buy individual pens. And I also picked up while I was there, I wanted to show you because I really like these too. These are Jelly Roll metallic pens, and I just got them in 3 colors to try, and I really like them. So I wanted to show you that since I got some new things, you know me and my tools. So last night then I decided to work on my mixed media papers that I've been playing around with, and I really like how they're coming out. This one, is one that I had done a demo with the decoupage and things on, has more layers on it, but I went ahead. I had been making these with the intention of cutting the medallions out as embellishments, and decided I wanted to go ahead and place them on a paper as if I'm going to use the whole paper, just for fun, just to do something different. So isn't that pretty? That's the purple one. So I just did some different ones to try out my new pens. And then I wanted to mention that, I guess I didn't do the turquoise one. I guess I'm going to have to doodle some more tonight. But I was liking where these were at. They could stay where they are, or I could keep adding to them. But I wanted to scan them where they were. So today I went ahead and I scanned all these into my computer in a file, and that way, even if I add to them, I still have them at this stage too. So I wanted to mention that in case you're doing mixed media paper, when you get to points where you like them, even if it's just background, scan them in then, and you have them in a file, and then you can always add to them later. And then the other thing today, for about the 3rd day now, I've been working on this demo that I'm going to do, and I kept having ideas of ways to print my different paper, and so I actually did some more experiments of that too. And if you remember from the last one, I had this happy accident where this was actually a picture and then I got my fingerprints on it. It was on gessoed paper and I ended up smearing it with a baby wipe and thinking it looked like a painting, and I really liked that. So I am going to play around more with this type of idea, but today I just went ahead and tried some again on just regular book page that I had gessoed with my new gesso just to see if it was any different. And this was the photo again that inspired the cover of my book. And I wanted to see the text through it a little bit, but not too much. And I really like how it came out. If you can see that, it kind of looks like a painting, and I didn't do anything to it. This is how it came out of my printer, very wet, and I just made sure not to touch it. And then I used my heat gun to dry it real quick. But I really like the effect of that because it looks more like a painting. I did it a little smaller too, and that's even more distorted. So I like it better kind of in this size. But I thought that's fun if you have photos or different things that you want to make look more like your artwork. That's just another idea to do. And then the other thing that I did was I had done the money in the previous video, the currency, on tissue paper. And when I did it with the intention, you know, that I'm going to be tearing it out and decoupaging with it. But I also wanted to show you, in case you haven't done masterboards before, I'll do maybe a video at some point on different masterboards that I've done. But what you can do is you can take just a regular 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and normally you would be decoupaging or collaging on it, and then that's your masterboard. You don't use that in your book. You scan it into your computer or take it to a professional printer and have that printed onto different weights of paper, different things, and then you always have that master to work with. This case, I didn't want to glue anything down because I'm using real currency. So I just used double stick tape and just arranged it like I would a collage and then scanned it into my computer. And then that way I have it to use over and over again too. So I just did some, you know, printing regular scan and print, and then scanning and adjusting the color so it's a little bolder, you know, just to play around with that. And then this was just a photocopy of, I think, my original scan. So just different ways that you can use your papers. Not really for this project, but I just thought I'd, you know, show you while I had it out. So today, though, what I really want to show is the next little teaser that I had done was to make another little something that's going to go in our book. So like I said, if you haven't watched any of these before, I'm working on a stacked envelope junk journal where I'm only using recycled paper, no paper packs, no decorative papers. You have to make everything yourself. So it's just kind of been a fun challenge. I've been kind of thinking of, because mine's kind of feeling travel related now, without, you know, it's kind of an exotic, colorful, walky, I don't know, kind of thing. So I'm just kind of winging it. But if you're doing something in a different theme, all these parts and pieces you can still apply to what you're doing. Say you're doing a botanical one or a garden themed one, you know, you can think of, instead of, like I had made tickets in here for my elephant ride kind of thing, you could do a thing with plant stakes or the garden labels, tags that things, you know, come with your plants, or seed packets, that kind of thing. So you can use maybe these ideas but relate them back to whatever theme your journal is. So for me, this kind of had this whole travel exotic thing going on. And when I was on this trip, in addition to taking this photo, I found myself on this trip taking pictures for puzzles because I like to make puzzles. And originally I thought I would take a really neat one from every place, and then for Christmas presents that year, I would give puzzles to my family members that love making puzzles too. One for my trip, and then I ended up never doing it. But at the time I didn't have a Cricut maker, and I hadn't really, you know, I would have them made professionally. So now I have a Cricut maker, so now I can actually maybe do these and make them myself. So I want to show you how I did that, and I did use book page. I spent probably 3 days and lots of fails making different puzzles only using book paper, and I'll maybe go over kind of some of the things I tried or not, we'll see. But this was the easiest way to do it, and I thought that's the best thing to show, is the easiest way. So my puzzle, I had walked past, I was kind of in a jungly area, and I had walked past and saw this lake peeking through, and so I walked over, and it just had all of these lily pads in this lake, and I'd never seen that many together before. And so I thought, oh, that's just like a perfectly framed little puzzle. So I decided, since I was kind of doing this travel thing, and it made me think of this picture I had taken that I had never done anything with, and I thought if I could turn that into a puzzle thin enough to fit in my book, and I did my book page with the gesso on the backs of the puzzle, then I could use these for journal cards. And so that's how I came about this idea. So that's what I've done. I did some thicker versions that I ended up not liking because they're not going to fit in my book very well. So I ended up doing that, and I'll show you how I just did this cute little envelope too. So I did it on my Cricut. I'm going to turn the computer. It's not hooked up to my machine right now because I'm going to bring it over here, but I need to turn this light out. So if it's in the screen here, okay. So the way I came up with, I did watch a few videos how to do it to get the ideas of what I needed to do this. I thought they were a little complicated, so I have simplified this one for myself, and it worked fine. So I don't know if it'll work on every puzzle pattern, but I've tried a few now, and it seems to work out good. So you're just gonna take your Cricut canvas with, open a new one. And then where's my cursor here? So the first thing I want to do is I've saved some photos onto my desktop. So go find a photo that you want to do, and don't worry about the size or anything. You can crop it to where you want in your photo, in case you don't want the whole thing, and then just save it onto your desktop. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go here to upload. And I already have my image in here, but normally you would just click on upload an image, and then browse your desktop, find it, and you drag it into, let's see, maybe I should show you. So see, you can drag and drop here. So let's just take, this one's already in there too. But you drag and drop it in there, and then you hit complex when it's a photo, just because you want all the detail to print, and then you'll hit continue. This may tell me I've already got this photo in there. So I want to then save it as a print and then cut. So I'm on that one, and then hit save, and it may tell me I already have it. You can up here type in the name. So I'm going to put Cambodia Lake. See, I think it's like, oh, there it goes. Okay, so my photo's in there. I'm gonna use this one for this demo though. So I'm gonna click on the photo I want now that I have some things uploaded, and then just go over to here and hit insert image. Okay, now see, it's way too big. So the easiest thing to do is you go up to here to where it says size. And if your size and position and all that isn't up here in your menu, there's usually a more over here. I've got all mine up here now, but if you don't see that, it'll say more ... Click on that, and then you'll see whatever items aren't showing in your menu bar, and you'll find size. So I'm gonna go over here to the width, and I wanna do mine 5x7, so I'm gonna put 5, and then tab over, and it'll automatically keep my photo to the correct scale. You can adjust the scale, but it'll distort your photo. So it's close to 5x7, that's good enough for me. So I'm gonna leave that there. Now I'm gonna go to images and click on that, and then go up to the search all images and type in the word puzzle. Okay, and it gives me all kinds of puzzles. Some of them you can buy. If it says subscribed, then it's free with my subscription. So I found this one over here that was a nice 6 pieces, so that it made my pieces large enough to write on. So I'm just gonna select that one and insert image. Now it's pink and I don't want that, so I'm gonna just go down here and clear that out. Okay, now the other thing is it's the wrong direction and it's too small. So I'm gonna go here and rotate it to the right direction. Okay, and then I'm just gonna put it over here in one corner, and unlock it because it's not the same proportions either. So I'm going to just unlock that so that I can make it fit exactly over my picture. Okay, and then once I've done that, I want to put it in the back. So I'm going to go to Arrange, which was right there, and then Send to Back. So right now that puzzle pattern is behind my photo, and you can see that over here. It's a cut print and just a cut. And that's the thing, is you want that to just be a cut. Some of those patterns are print and cut. I didn't experiment with those. So you just want to make sure it says cut and no fill on for your puzzle pattern. Now that I've done that, I want to select all, which is, where did that go? Over here, select all. And then I'll just go down here and hit attach. And now it's one thing. So now I've got an attached, a cut and print, and a cut. So now I'm ready to go. That was that simple. And then I'm going to go up here and say make it. So the first thing it's going to do is it wants to print. So you just send it to your printer. So I'm just going to hit continue, send to printer, and you'll see your picture pop in there. And now I leave it on add bleed. If you want your system dialog, which is all your printer settings, if you need to see what's going on there, you can click that and it'll bring your printer settings up, just like when you're printing anything off of any Word document or anything. I don't need to do that. So I would just hit print and it will print that out for me. I've already done that, so I'm going to hit that and skip. So the next thing, let's see. It doesn't want to let me connect on here because I'm not hooked up to my printer. So I'm going to take this away and then just walk you through. I've typed out these instructions too. So I know for me, yeah, sure, you can go back and watch my video a bunch of times to see how to do that. But, you know, if you don't want to do that, I'm going to try to make this a more simplified, shorter thing, but walk you through the steps on how to do this. So I'm going to hopefully have that ready and I can share that. So you're down to having this part here. This is what your piece of paper looks like. Now, when I did mine, I originally wanted to do this right onto book page just to follow my own challenge for myself. In the videos that I watched, one of them, I really loved the idea that they did theirs on sticker paper and then they mounted it on a cereal box, recycled cereal box. So to me, you know, if you use something recycled, then that's meeting the challenge. So I went ahead and did one with the Astro Design matte white sticker paper. This also comes in chalkboard paper and craft paper. It may come in other things too, but those two for sure. That you use them for labels or whatever. So I went ahead and used this and I liked it. It works so easy. So once you have this, imagine this is on sticker paper. When your puzzle's finished, you're going to have these scraps left. Save those because I have ideas for those too. So you don't really have to waste any of that. So the sticker paper, you have your picture printed. Then you can do the cereal box. Like I said, I went ahead and used my book page paper. So for me, when I peeled this back, I just had a piece of paper that was going to fit my photo. And I think this was one I kept trying to use because it's bigger and it fit my whole picture. My problem was this paper is too old and brittle. So I did so many experiments trying to use this because of its size. If you have a really old book page that you're doing that cracks like this and breaks, don't waste your time. It's such a pain. It ruins my mats because this wants to stick to the stickiness of the mat. You have to use a sticky enough mat and a deep enough blade and enough pressure to get it to cut through all the layers. And I ended up ruining a mat. So I ended up finding that a slicker paper, this newer paper, worked better than the other one. When you have gessoed it though, it does help it to not stick as much to your sticky mat for your Cricut. So that's just a couple of tips for me to share. The other thing, when I tried to use book page and do it on this darker one, if this line, which is the scan line for the Cricut Maker, it needs to see that line and it needs to be clean. so that it can find out where it is to cut that out. And it's not going to let you do it if there's obstruction. So like when I've taped something over there or anything, or that's dark, because if I'm using this paper, right, I've taped it, as you know in the previous video, I've taped it to my 8.5 by 11 paper. So I have all kinds of fails that did not work. So I wouldn't waste your time. Just go for it. Use the sticky back paper. It's easier. Or if you don't have sticky back paper, use an 8.5 by 11 piece of photo paper, or just copy paper that you've made your picture onto, and then just glue it down to the substrate, whatever you're going to use. Could be a cereal box, could be poster board. Just depends on how thick you want your puzzle pieces. I tried doing it out of about 6 layers of this to get to puzzle thickness, and it feels like an old puzzle. I really liked it, but the first one I did, which was this one, the pieces are too small to write on. And then a lot of them, I've now glued them together, but a lot of them weren't, my old paper wasn't sticking together, so I had to go back and glue them more. Not all of them, some of them are still good. So I'll use these for texture in some future book covers or something like that. So I'll save them and use them, but it just wasn't the right thing for this project. And then I did do them on thicker with some layers of paper, and I did get it to cut the thickness and all that, but they ended up being, I did a whole puzzle, and they ended up being a nice thickness for a puzzle, but a little too thick for to fit in my book. I just didn't want to take up that much space. So I ended up with my single layer of book page paper that I glued to my sticky paper. So once I had my sticky paper with my photo printed, the size obviously is bigger than the book page that I need. So I went ahead and trimmed this off first, so I still have these pieces stuck to their backing that I can use for something else. And then I just had this corner. You want to keep the corner with this line on it for your Cricut pad. Once you have that done and you've got you can stick your other book page. Imagine this is my book page with gesso on it. Stick that down to your sticky paper. You put all of this onto your mat up in the right-hand corner, and then you run it through your cutter, through your Cricut cutter. So that's the way to do it with a Cricut. If you want to do it without a Cricut, you can just take the sticky paper and just from your computer, print your photo onto your sticky paper, and then take that and put it onto your book page or other substrate, whatever you want to do. But in this case, we're doing book page, so stick it onto your book page. I would already have this gesso just because it's easier. And then you can just hand cut it out. So you could use a puzzle pattern and trace it and cut it, or you can even just freehand it. I started this one just to show you, but I'll do it a little bit so you can see. So if you just take some little scissors, my puzzle had 6 pieces, so it was like kind of one this way and then kind of like that. So just imagine if you start from this end, you know, you can just freehand cut something that looks like a puzzle. And then just remember the next one, you want to separate these two. So maybe you do this and you go in this one. Especially when it's just journal pages like this. So no matter how your cuts go, it's gonna go together again because it was a puzzle, right? So you can just freehand cut it, especially if you're only using the sticker paper and book page, just one layer. You have your puzzle pieces, and it's easy to cut with just scissors. So you don't have to have a Cricut maker. That just makes the cutting and all that kind of perfect and fancy or whatever. But this is just as easy. So you do that, and then I did these little pouches, and I'll put my link. I got these on Amazon. They're just mini CD holders. They're just little vinyl ones. And they don't come with a closure. They just come with little tucked in like that. I think they were like $100 for $7, $8, something like that, if I remember. I'll find the link though and put it on there. But I just did a little like a coin envelope closure. In the last video, I showed you that I had done like another coat of gesso on this, not gesso, of resin. I had made resin paper. This is just like with one coat. I'll put the link to how to make resin paper too, but I had done one with a little extra oomph because this is maybe a little fragile still for what I want to use it for. So I want it to still be pliable, but have some stability to it and not tear and that kind of thing. So 2 coats. And then I'm just going to take my 3mm-ish punch and make a hole in there first. And then I'm going to take my little one, which I think is like 1/2 inch or 5/8, something like that. And then I'm just going to center that first hole I made and just make another little button with a hole in it. So that is going to be my other little closure. And then I've got my steel block. Now, if you have a crocodile, then you can set that with that. I don't have that. I have a lot of jewelry tools that end up working with this stuff. So there are some tools that I haven't bothered getting because I have different punches and different things that work. So I just use a little manual one. So I'm just using my little eyelet in there. And then I had already punched my hole. And then this has a little, this is a little setter, and it just has that little flower shape. So you just put that in there over the back side. And then hit that a few times. And I have found if your paper is too brittle, I need to do that a little bit more. If your paper's too brittle, you could crack this and break it. So you could, if that happens and you need to redo it, you could just pull that eyelet out and do another one. It'll still fit in that hole. But the other solution is don't smash it all the way down. Leave a little bit and then just hit it with your hammer. I don't know, this is probably going to be hard on this one. Just so that it's not, it doesn't catch on things, but it's flattened down. So that's just a little envelope, and then I'm just using kitchen string that I've taken apart. And then I like that it's still curly then. And then I've just sprayed it with some Distress Oxide to give it that tea stain kind of look. I make a whole bunch of that up ahead, and then I just have it. And then you just wind that around. So for your little envelope, you can make up a bunch of these just for any kind of little things for other journals. Now I want to decorate mine up more before it goes in my book. I may, you know, put some paper around it. I don't know what I'm going to do really. Another pocket it goes in, I'm not sure, but something decorative. So that is my little idea for today, the little journal puzzle pieces. And then I do have a teaser. I don't know if I showed that. Yeah, I did show that. Okay, so I have another little teaser though, because I've been trying to come up with all kinds of different things that fit in my journal. And one of the things was a lot of these places that I had gone were humid and very hot, and I don't like that. So I had bought, very early on in my trip, I had bought a fan. And so I thought, how cute to make a little fan out of my mixed media papers. And I'm going to put a little tassel, maybe a beaded thing. I just think that goes with my exotic theme. And then on the reverse side, I have my, it's all made just with book page paper. So I made, I did the gesso so that I can write on it. So I'll do maybe a demo on how I went about making this and kind of finish it up. I want to put a little tassel or something on it. So I'll do another video with that, but it's a good thing to go in one of these long pockets that I have this angle at. So it's just kind of another little cute thing. So that will be the next one, I think. So I hope that you enjoyed this little video. And if you did, give me a thumbs up. Hit subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss out on anything. And have a great rest of your day. Now go make something. Bye.